scream and shout with all your might.
Oh, you could scream, shout, whine, cry, snivel, piss, and moan.
Dig in your heels and hold on tight.
You can shove your opinion up your ass. That way Obama's cock has something to keep it company.
Either you are wrong or I am right.
Don't forget, the ever-present, the most likely, the third possibility. You are wrong and I am right. That's how it's probably going to turn out. That's how it usually turns out. Some of you out there are not very good at discerning trends, right? For example, you can't figure out the trend that every time the government gets involved in something, it gets really fucked up. This is the Stating the Obvious podcast, the weapons platform for which I launch the cruise missile of my intellect that homes in on and destroys stupid motherfuckers all around the world. It drops the people's elbow on them, just like The Rock. Does a stone cold stunner on them, just like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yes, I am the great one himself. This is Cynical Libertarian Society, cynlibsoc.com on the internet. You can send us email, love mail, hate mail, naked pictures, whatever you want to send us. We encourage naked pictures, especially from people that are attractive. You send that to God, dog spelled backwards, God, cynlibsoc.com. In the control room, back after being off doing other stuff, Randy is here with me today. So in theory, I might have my shit together today because I won't be pushing random buttons on the computer, fucking things up, and when I forget what the fuck I was talking about, she's going to be here to remind me. And speaking of what I am talking about, oh yes, today is the 11th of January 2014. What is this, the 6th year of our Lord and Savior Hussein Obama. Obamacare is in effect now. Everybody has free health care. The free health care is falling from the sky. Absolutely everybody now receives free coverage. And of course, as Obama promised, if you like your insurance plan, you could keep it. Absolutely no one has lost their insurance plan because of Obamacare. Anyone who tells you that, they are lying to you, and those people are racist, they are sexist, and they're homophobic. The only reason they canceled their plans themselves, and they did that because they hate Obama, because they hate black people, because nobody lost their health care plan because of Obamacare. The free health care is falling out of the sky. And anyone who tells you different is a fucking racist, and we all know this. Why? Because they said so on MSNBC. Anyway, Randy, what did I forget? I got that. Yes, the theme song, Stating the Obvious podcast, is You Know I'm Right by David Gilmour. It's off his 1984 album called About Face. God, 1984. Whew, that was back in the day. Oh, man. That was back when I had to walk uphill. Yeah, we had to walk uphill to listen to music back in my day. We had to, walk uphill and crank the turntable. Then, speaking of music, I made an observation today. Talk about technology and progress and our society in general fucking going backwards. I'm walking around downtown and I hear some shitty-ass music playing. And I realized it was coming from the pocket of some fucking homeless person, because the homeless people all have cell phones nowadays, who was walking past. I don't know if he is homeless or not. He looked homeless. He looked like a teenager. Then again, it's the year 2014. Pretty much all teenagers look homeless these days. They're covered in tattoos. They got these piercings. They're scruffy. Their pants are hanging down and they don't fit. They look like they haven't bathed in a week. And that's just the girls. God, the boys are even worse. Anyway, walking past this person, use the term person loosely, and this is coming from somebody who is dressed like a homeless bum. I walk past this person, I hear this crappy music, and I realize it was coming from the cell phone in his pocket. Remember the good old days when you had to walk uphill in order to go buy your iPod? It was 25 miles and it was snowing, and then you had to walk uphill another 25 miles to put music on the thing. Remember when the iPod came out and the other music players? How wonderful and glorious this was, because people would put in their little earbuds and play their music, and you didn't have to hear it anymore. Because before this, everybody had the big jam box, and this is really back in the days when you had to walk uphill. You had to walk uphill 50 miles back then, and everybody had the big jam boxes, and they have it on their shoulder, and they'd be thumping out and everything. They had the cassette players in them. If you really were cool, you had the dual cassette player jam box. Oh yeah, those were the days. And everybody had to listen to your shitty ass music. So then the iPod came along, and everybody put in their earbuds, and I didn't have to hear other people's shitty music, and nobody had to hear my shitty music. And I went through that phase where every time I went out in public I had the iPod in, and then I got over that because I realized that I didn't want to disconnect myself from society around me and be stuck in this little world of listening to my own music all the time. I still do it occasionally. If I'm out running or biking, I may be listening to a podcast or audiobooks or something, or music. And sometimes I'll go for a walk and listen to music. Most of the time, though, when I go out, I leave the iPod behind because, unlike the medicated generation, I want to engage with the world around me, and that includes being able to listen to it. I want to hear the birds chirping. I want to hear the wind in the trees. I want to hear what is happening around me. And at this particular moment, what I was hearing was this person's shitty-ass music coming out of his cell phone in his pocket. And I realized we've gone backwards. Now that everybody has a fucking cell phone, they don't have iPods anymore. And the great thing about iPods is they didn't have speakers. You had to plug in earphones and stick them in your ears. An iPod doesn't have a fucking speaker. Telephones have speakers. And now we're back to a situation where I gotta listen to your fucking shitty ass music. Here's a goddamn newsflash, people. Nobody except you wants to hear your fucking music. I love too when I'm working with people in the theater and they will actually turn on their fucking cell phone and play music on it while we're working. Like, do you really think I want to hear your shit? Christ, people. Fucking Jesus H. fucking Christ on a stick. In a jar of piss. That's a reference to back in the day when he walked uphill 25 miles. Those of you who get that, you get it. Those of you who don't get it, don't worry about it. All right. Speaking of getting things, today we are going to get down on it. I am going to, because I'm like a broken record, and because I just read a book, and we're going to be doing a book review. If you've actually looked at the title of the podcast, you already know what the fuck the book is called, and you already know what we're talking about. Yes, my friends, God forbid we don't actually talk about femistatists. We are going to talk some more about femistatists, and I fully anticipate this is going to be a two-part podcast. This is part one. Part two will be coming. This should be coming out on Monday. Part 2 should be coming out on Wednesday, if everything goes correctly. Yes, femistatists. And then after this, I swear to fucking God, I'm going to try to talk about something not related to femistatism for a while. Going to work on the pile on the floor, talk about some anarcho-capitalism, yada, yada, fucking yada. The book that I'm going to be talking about and reading fairly extensively from is called Men on Strike, Why Men Are Boycotting Marriage, Fatherhood, and the American Dream, and Why It Matters. It's written by Helen Smith. She has a PhD from some fucking college that tried to fuck her head up, but obviously did not do a very good job of it. So we're going to see how this goes. Alright. I have to put down the cigarette and fucking pay attention. From the introduction, quote, I used to consider myself a feminist, but mistakenly thought feminism meant equality between the sexes. In today's culture, it means female privilege, and I believe discrimination against men is every bit as bad as discrimination against women, and I want no part of it, unquote. That rather sets the stage. As I've delved a little bit deeper into the manosphere and read some more stuff and followed some links and gone down some rabbit holes, I've discovered there are a surprising number of women who are capable of pulling their heads out of their asses and recognizing feminism, femistatism, for the scam that it is. I will confess, too, as reading the book, Helen Smith indicates some very, well, I shouldn't very. She indicates some strong-ish anarcho-capitalist tendencies. I mean, she certainly recognizes that the state is a problem. She recognizes the government is a problem, which is a huge leap. Because, you know, even women who are not femistatist, a lot of the right-wing conservative women are hardly femistatist, but they are adamant believers in the religion of statism, and adamant believers that the government should be fixing things and doing things to people and putting them in jail for having marijuana and all this other shit. So for a woman to reject femistatism is one thing, but for a woman to reject statism is even more difficult. And I've talked about this before, about how, you know, women rely on the state. The state breeds women to be statist. The state wants women, depending on I've talked before about how the state wants women to be raped, because this makes them into victims. It makes them dependent on the state. It wants more laws, more police forces, more men in jail, more brutality, yada, 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 yada. There's a lot of brainwashing for a woman to overcome. All right, let's check out my notes here. And get another drink of water. And then we're going to go into this. For those of you new to a Stating the Obvious book discussion, I'm going to be doing a lot of reading from the book, and then I'm going to talk about it. And in some cases, I got my notes, and it tells me what to read. And in theory, I'm going to remember what I want to talk about. Sometimes I'm going to read shit and then go, what the fuck was the point of that? Because I forgot. But that's just how it rolls, all right? Just deal with it. Enjoy the ride. It's like when I'm fucking you, okay? Don't try to analyze it. Just enjoy it. It's good, all right? It's good. All right. Enough fucking around. Let's go. And I'm trying to read my notes. Yep. This is the other thing, is I have to be able to read my notes, which is always kind of iffy. All right. Quote, when reading through these two books, by the way, this is not the quote. These two books are Kay Horowitz, Manning Up, How the Rise of Women Has Turned Men into Boys, and Kathleen Parker's book, Save the Males, Why It Matters, Why Women Should Care. Those are the two books that she's referencing here. Quote, when reading through these two books, and I have not read these books, by the way, when reading through these two books, I get the impression not that men are autonomous beings who deserve equality as equal citizens in a democratic society. Oh, democracy. Oh. So, anyway, she obviously, she hasn't fully rejected statism, but I interrupt myself already. Who deserve equality as equal citizens in a democratic society, but rather that they should be treated well enough so that they will want to marry women, have children, and support them so the women will have a better life. I have a different take. I propose that men are autonomous beings who are entitled to justice and equality and the pursuit of their own happiness because they are human beings in a supposedly free society. Too bad this is such a radical departure that a whole book has to be written just to make this point. One would think it would be obvious, but it is not obvious in today's America." Unquote. And she's absolutely true. And it's true. When you talk to femistatists who do have anything nice to say, it's always from the perspective of, well, we need to be nice to the men so that they'll marry women and provide for them. It's like, whoa, even then, it's always about. And here's what's really funny is when people like me say that men and women, the way this is supposed to work is the man brings the resources into the household and the woman manages the household, they scream at us for being sexist. But then, of course, women come along, well, we should be nice to men, but we should be, we got to be nice to them so that they'll pay our bills and take care of the kids, but that's it. And what she says is true. This is completely unknown in our society today. I continue reading. Other books, such as Guyland by Michael Kimmel, Or Boys Adrift, the 5 factors driving the growing epidemic of unmotivated boys and underachieving young men by Leonard Sachs, along with Heimewitz's book, treat the men's lack of interest in marriage as a kind of extended adolescence where men sit around playing video games and farting in order to ward off having to grow up. And all these, quote, guys are losers, unquote, types stick together to add fuel to the negative image of men as boys. Yes, I do need to keep reading this. For example, Richard Whitmire, the author of Why Boys Fail, another positive title, endorses Heimewitz's book by stating, quote, Kay Heimowitz does an exacting job describing the growing flock of man-children we're seeing, and she lays out the disturbing reality of the marriageable mate dilemma. Not only are there fewer college-educated men to marry, but many of those men who are available are little more than man-children, not anyone you would want your daughters to marry, unquote. Again, see, notice the emphasis on these men are not worthy of your daughters. It's not that these men are self-contained human beings. No, 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 of course not. The aspirations of every man should be to be worthy of your daughter. You know, your fat, overweight, selfish daughter who has tattoos and piercings and cuts her fucking hair off and has a fucking mustache. Hello. Who saw this thing? I just found out about this and didn't know anything about it, but I found out it's hilarious. About this little kid on the internet who's like big on Vine, and he's getting all this hate now because he said that women with mustaches are gross and disgusting. And women are going crazy about how, what the fuck is it? What? See, now this is why it's good to have Randy on hand, because she's holding up the little sign that says off topic. I know I'm off topic. Shut the fuck up and let me do this. I'll come back to the book. How many times on this podcast have you heard me say to you fucking women out there that facial hair is nasty? Get rid of your goddamn... It's like $10 to get your fucking upper lip waxed. I know you think you go girl. I know you think that men are supposed to love you no matter how fat you are, no matter how crappy you dress, no matter how short you cut your hair, no matter how many tattoos you have, no matter how many piercings you have, and no matter how thick your mustache is. I know you think men are supposed to love you because you're a goddess and you have a great personality and you go girl. Well, I got a fucking newsflash for you, you fucking hairy-lipped Sasquatch. Get rid of the fucking mustache. It's nasty. It's disgusting. Nobody wants to see it. And when I see that, I see hot chicks all the time, and it's like they look great. And they get up close, there's the motherfucking mustache. There it is. It's a fucking mustache. What the fuck? You got money to spend on all this shit. You got money to spend on clothes and fucking shoes and goddamn handbags, and you go to the fucking bar all the time. But you ain't got no money to wax your fucking upper lip. Wax your upper lip. Okay. I'm going back on topic now. It should make you happy. Yes, dear. Hey, this is what I'm here for, Randy, is to make you happy. That's my function as a man, is to make women happy. We just differ on how that's supposed to be done. See, I think the way you make women happy is by smacking them on the ass and fucking the shit out of them. Women think the way you, or I should say femistatist. Not women, not in my... And in my terminology, for those of you maybe jumping in right now for the first time ever, I do try to differentiate my use of words. I try to, when I say women, this means real women. As in, you know, men means alpha men, whatever. Women are real women, not femistatist. When I say femistatist or feminist or feminazi or liberal cunt or statist cunt or fucking bitch or anything like that, that's when I'm talking about the women who believe in feminism. The women who believe that men exist to serve them by doing the work they don't want to do and the rest of the time shutting the fuck up. All right. Where am I at? Here we go. Page 8, first paragraph. All right. Yes. Another of these books on the decline of men is Hannah Rosen's The End of Men and the Rise of Women, which is frankly the most matronizing of all these books. Rosen's main thesis is that women have pulled ahead of men in many areas of society and are able to adapt and be flexible at home and work in ways that men cannot. In fact, in her book, she refers to the plastic woman, who is able to bend and do everything at once and who is climbing the ladder past men. These loser men are referred to as cardboard men, who are apparently inflexible and unable to adapt to the new world order. And of course, I've talked about this extensively. Number one, women are not adapting. Women, for example, cannot go into the workplace and adapt. Women go into the workplace and then force all kinds of laws and rules to change it to their liking. The woman goes into the workplace. The man has a calendar of bikini models. The woman does not adapt to this. The woman goes to the HR department and has the company pass a rule that says you're not allowed to have bikini calendars. That is not adapting. That's not adapting. Women, as I have said this before, women are rocks. Women cannot adapt to their environment. Women can't go out and get jobs. Women go to the government. They have the government pass laws saying you have to hire a certain percentage of women. They go to the government and get laws that says you have to have a certain number of sports teams at your college for women. Women are not adapting. Women have not created or achieved or done any of things they've done on their own. Everything they've done, they have accomplished by using feminist men to pass laws and rules to give them special privileges and benefits. Second of all, the reason why women do so well is, of course, as I have discussed before, women have no morals. This is, as I have discussed before, why women, I'm just going to repeat that over and over, why women don't want men involved in the abortion debate. Women have no problem killing children. And I don't mean fetuses, I mean children. Look at all the women out there who kill their children. Look at all the women who happily send their children, their semi-grown children, off to wars to kill people and to die. Women have no fucking morals. Women, and I don't mean femistatist, I mean all women. Sorry, honey, if that offends you, but it's true. Women do not have morals. Women are biologically, genetically, evolutionarily designed and engineered by natural selection, by evolution, to look out for themselves. It's what they do. It's what they fucking do. I'm not going to go into the whole spiel about exactly how and why women don't have morality. I've covered that before. I'm going to cover it again in the future. We're not doing it right now. So women are not surpassing men because they're flexible. They're surpassing men because they are rocks that have no morality. Just like a rock. You can use a rock to hold as a paperweight, or you can pick up a rock and you can hit somebody on the head with it and kill them. The rock doesn't give a shit either way because the rock has no morals. Women are the same way. Women are rocks. They are inflexible. They cannot change and adapt. Their environment must change to suit them, and they have no morality. This is brilliant. Hold on. I have to write this down. Where the fuck? There it is. I mean, I've used the women are rocks before, but the way I summed it up there, it was brilliant, even for me. No morals, cannot adapt. All right, I'm going to use that. Okay. La la, la 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 la. Where am I? See, I have these notes in here that aren't referencing a page number. I love that. There is the bitching. I don't know why this note ended up in here, but I'm going to talk about it. The pickup artist community, the speed seduction community, the whatever you want to call it, the men, the alpha males, the men who are good at having sex with random women. Do you notice how so many femistatists complain about this? Do you notice, however, first of all, it works. these men who are having a lot of sex with a lot of different women, well, by definition, a man who has a lot of sex with a lot of different women is having a lot of sex with a lot of different women. You will notice that what he is doing, what they are doing, it works. And the femistatists complain about it, and they're offended by it because they're offended by everything, but you'll notice it works. So why are the femistatists so upset about this? Not because it works, but because it doesn't work on them, because any self-respecting alpha male, any self-respecting player, any self-respecting pickup artist, any self-respecting speed seducer doesn't fucking want to fuck a feminist. All right, got that in. Next. I'm doing good, huh, Randy? I'm almost staying on topic. What is this? Second paragraph, quote. Yes, okay, here we go. Still other, okay, this is, she's quoting people who have left comments on her website here. This is a quote from someone who left a comment. This is a quote of a person who left a comment on Helen Smith's website about a related, and I haven't seen her website yet. It's on my list to go check it out. All right. Quote, this is a man writing this on Helen's website. Quote, I met a woman that I was sure was my soulmate. Boys, there's no fucking such thing as a soulmate, and all of you need to get that shit out of your head right now, okay? Get this shit out of your head. Every woman alive, she loves you today. Tomorrow, when it's to her benefit, remember what, 2, 3, whatever, the pod where I did the E. Jean letters, the woman, the man is marrying her. She's engaged to the man who bought her a $54,000 car. And what is she doing? She's fucking the unemployed guy who lives with his parents. There is no woman is your goddamn soulmate. As soon as it is to their benefit, and that means either financially or sexually, as soon as it is to a woman's benefit, she will shit on you and shit on you and then shit on you again. And Randy's looking at me, and I love you too. I trust you as far as I could shot put a grand piano, and you know it. All right, let me read this. Quote, I met a woman that I was sure was my soulmate. I was deeply in love, and so, I thought, was she. All this changed when I lost my high-paying job through downsizing. To my credit, I went to work immediately and had 2 jobs, but still only made about 80% of my old income. Now notice, okay, he lost his job through downsizing. She loves him, right? They're soulmates. He loses his job. He's working 2 jobs, making 80%. That means that she has a 20% reduction in her income. Now think about this. She is putting up with a 20% reduction in her income. Okay, return to reading. Quote, my wife gave me a year and then began sleeping with a man who hadn't lost his job in my bed while I was at work. She left with him, taking almost all my savings and anything else she could carry. Her explanation was that she was, quote, an expensive bitch, unquote, and she was unhappy because I worked so much. The adultery doesn't seem to matter to the court, and she got essentially everything. Besides the financial losses, I was so devastated by the betrayal that I could barely function for months. She treated me like garbage, and I never worked harder at this, and I never worked harder at any endeavor in my life, unquote. Exactly. Exactly. As soon as you stop giving her what she wants, be it money, be it the cock, whatever the fuck it is, she will abandon you, and she will go to another man who can provide it. And whenever you say this to a fucking femistatist, they lose their little minds. It's true. It is 100 fucking % true. Over. And of course, the feminists say, well, that's just one time. Well, every time some bitch gets raped, that's just one time. All right? Get over your fucking one time shit. I'm reading my notes. That's why I got quiet. Yes, as my notes say here, never do this much for a woman because they're always looking to trade up. Now, I mean, dude, he worked 2 fucking jobs for this bitch. I'd have told her, I got a job, you go get a job, and then we'll reevaluate in a year, whatever. It's like, oh my God. Send the bitch to go get a fucking job. All right, next. What is this? All right, here is another quote. I wonder if I should read this. Yes. Speaking of the alpha males, I might have to... 26, 27, quote. Yep, I'm going to bounce back and read some of this I did not plan to read. All right, from the book, I quote, "So what does all this mean as far as sex, marriage, and gamers are concerned? Some interesting tidbits arise. It seems that men who have had more than 30 partners are less interested in marriage, as are men who are virgins, who are the most anti-marriage. The high alpha men with numerous partners might be players and just enjoy being that way. But, female readers, take note. Those alpha men with 15 to 30 partners are the most marriage-minded. Perhaps if an alpha is not an all-out player, he is more likely to have confidence and prior positive experience to believe he can make a marriage work, and is confident enough to feel that nothing will go wrong legally or otherwise." Which is a piece of evidence that some alphas might be stupid, because, yeah, so you fucked 20 girls. You think you're going to make this... Oh, girl number 21. Right. She's not going to fuck you over and go have sex with an unemployed guy who lives with his parents after you buy her a $54,000 car. No, of course not. Because she's your fucking soulmate. Alright? Yeah, whatever. However, I'm back to reading from the book. However, the non-alphas tell a different story. For those men who are not alphas, many fewer women are available. If 24% of the men are sharing 76% of the women, the sexual prospects are poor for the 76% of men who are sharing the other 24% of women. Perhaps of these 76%, some are virgins who are the most anti-marriage or less marriage-minded because they have fewer women to choose from or feel socially rejected. It would be interesting to see if the men who are more in the beta and lower classifications are playing more video games. Vox Day had this to say about the younger gamers with whom he had contact. Now, Vox Day, this is not me reading from the book. Vox Day is a guy, apparently, I only know about him from reading this book. Apparently he is a gamer. He does like a gaming website, blog, whatever. He's very engaged in the gaming community. Those numbers there about the alphas being 24% of the men who are fucking 76% of the women, those are based on assorted things. And I mean, this tends to hold true as far as assorted numbers I've seen from various sources about the percentage of men who are alphas and fucking the most women. I mean, it pretty much follows the 80-20 rule. Somewhere around 20% of the men in our society are fucking 80% of the women, and 80% of the women are having sex with 20% of the men. You can seek that information out if you want to do so. There's this thing called the internet, and there's this place called the library that you don't know about. You can do research and shit. I'm not here to hand your hold. All right, this is a quote. This is what Vox Day is saying about the younger gamers with whom he has had contact. Quoting Vox Day. "I probably have a unique perspective on it due to my connections to the young guys in the gaming industry. It's bizarre how some of them are in their 20s and have graduated from good schools and simply have zero interest in women. They just literally have nothing in common with them and no interest in them. The strike theory is generally correct, I think. The problem is that games and porn are entertaining, inexpensive, easily accessible, and reliable." This next phrase, this is key. This is not him. This is me talking. Editorial comment. This next thing I'm about to read to you, this is key. Quote, "Women can be entertaining, but they're expensive, inaccessible for most men, and from the male perspective, shockingly unreliable." As I said, women are rocks. Not only are they rocks, they're really expensive rocks. Okay. Back to quoting Vox Day here. I would say that porn has risen the bar somewhat. It's bound to be seriously annoying when Little Miss Real Life won't give head when Jane porn star is twice as hot and cheerfully performing all sorts of acrobatic stunts. And if you think about it, is a real woman who is average and only wants to have missionary-style sex once a week, minus a week for her period, actually any better than a wide array of gorgeous porn stars catering to every bizarre fetish the Japanese can imagine and available on demand? It's not quite so clear once you put it in those terms. The biggest communication problem is that most women see relationship as a positive thing. Most men see it as an ambiguous thing. So when the selling point of Little Miss Real Life over Jane's porn star is relationship, you can see where it's not going to be very appealing. I don't think there's much of a fuck you element, though. Let me reread that sentence with correct inflection. I don't think there's much of a fuck you element, though. The guys who think that way tend to be players, particularly the Sigma players. A lot of the guys who opt out aren't particularly angry at women. They just don't see much point to pursuing involvement with them. And why should they? When you look at the way women fuck men over on a regular basis, this book is full of examples, but look at all the men you know and that you've seen who have gotten divorced and gotten fucking raped financially. Look at all the men paying child support for children that are not theirs. Look at all the men who are in prison, where you'll notice there's no cries for equality in incarceration to make sure that, you know, the number of women in prison is equal to the population. Like there's these cries for equality in employment and college, where, well, women need to be represented in the workplace to the same percentage they are in the community and all this other shit. So when the men are not stupid. I know you fucking femistatists think that men are stupid. Except for Hussein Obama, of course. Now, he's the Messiah. He fucking waved his hand and he turned water into free health care. Because he's the Messiah. He is the Holy One. So other than Hussein Obama, all men are evil. Well, and of course, Kennedy, Senator Kennedy, speaking of water, of course, drove his car off a bridge when he was drunk and left Mary Jo Kopechne in the car to die instead of risking his precious life to save her. But he's also, he's a messiah also. Femistatists love him because he cares so much about women's rights. Oh, he cares. He cares so much. Oh. Such a caring man. Oh, God, it just makes me cream my panties just thinking about how much he cares. But other than those two, all men are evil, scumbag pieces of shit who exist only to serve women, right? They exist to build the buildings for women and take out the trash for women, and their main goal in life should be being good enough for your daughters, as one of the femistatists mentioned previously talked about. Right, that's what men are for, according to the femistatists, is they should aspire to be good enough for your daughter, to marry her and bring her money and raise the children and do what they're told to do and shut the fuck up. That's why men are checking out, and men are checking out. Men are fucking, I know a lot, I live in a college town, I know a lot of young guys, I interact with a lot of young guys. I see the college alphas who are fucking everything in sight. And then I see all the other men here in Fort Collins, the college guys, the boys, whatever you want to call them. I see them and they're like, they've never had girlfriends and they don't give a shit. They're really not interested. And it's not because they're gay. It's because they, excuse me. I ate this giant bowl. Actually, Randy can vouch for this. I had some fucking self-control because you've seen me eat like twice that amount of ice cream. I ate this bowl of ice cream over a banana, and so it's haunting me a little bit. These guys are checking out. They're fucking checking out. They don't give a shit. They're checking the fuck out. And all you women, anyway, we just go on. I could just fucking randomly rant for hours. Oh wait, that's what I'm doing. That's what this fucking podcast is. It's me randomly ranting for hours. All right, page 30. Here talking about college kids. Here she's talking to a college kid about chicks and stuff. And so he says that, again, I may have to go back. Video, blah, blah, blah. Max didn't seem as naive. Okay, yeah. Page 30. All right, I'm going to read this. So she's talking to Max, college kid. Here we go. Quote from the book. Max didn't seem quite as naive when it came to choosing women. Quote, most of my friends won't even consider marriage until their late 20s. A couple of them have been in love and got hurt when they were younger, and I think that's why they don't want to get married now. I think girls a long time ago, maybe 40 or 50 years ago, were doing less cheating and were more trustworthy. Now girls are more like guys used to be. I would say that 8 out of 10 girls now are sketchy, and about 6 or 7 guys out of 10 are those the girls can trust, unquote. And again, who has already talked about how, 50 years ago, women were more normal, and who has it that's talked about multiple times about how women, femistatists, not women, femistatists, are very desperately trying to be like men because they think that equality means being like a man, because they don't grasp that being like a woman and being feminine has equal value to being a man and being masculine. And this is because of statist propaganda coupled with their own stupidity. Anyway, let me continue reading. When I questioned him as to what sketchy meant, he replied that, quote, a lot of girls today are crazy partiers and they flirt with other people and have sex with other guys. If they sleep with you on the first date, they are more likely to go off with someone else while they are with you. I think that's why guys are waiting to get married. They have to go through 8 or 10 girls to find the 2 that aren't sketchy, unquote. Yes. Yes. Girls are sketchy. I know a 16-year-old who is talking about how she goes to college parties and meets older guys and then leaves the party with these guys and goes to, quote, parties in other cities, unquote. Now, I'm not sure if parties in other cities is code phrase for fucking, or if she actually just really goes to parties that are in other cities, because I guess the party in a different city is different from the party she's at, even though she's theoretically like going there with the same guy she's here with. So, I mean, like if I got a girlfriend and we're at a party in Fort Collins, it's really not that much different than being at a party with the same girlfriend in Loveland. It's just a change of setting, but if you're there with another person, then it's the other person you're with that should be the focus of your attention. See, that's how you actually have a valid, dynamic relationship with another human. If when you are with them, they are an integral part of what's going on. So I don't know if that just means she, they went to the bedroom and he fucked her in the ass or what. But the point is she's 16 years old and she's sketchy. And she doesn't even know it. That's the scary part. She's completely clueless about her sketchiness. Why? Feminism. That's why. What does feminism say to women? Feminism says to females, have as much sex as you want. Explore sex. Have no sexual boundaries. Nowadays, the new buzzword is pansexual. Instead of women saying I'm a slut, they say I'm pansexual. Pansexual is the code phrase for slut. Meanwhile, of course, what does feminism say to men? It says to men, you're all rapists, which I'm baffled by this. If women are supposed to go out and have all this fucking sex because they're pansexual, aka sluts, who the fuck are they supposed to have sex with since men are all rapists? And of course, we know the answer. I think I've already talked about, didn't I? Randy, have you been listening to the podcast? Did I talk about? Randy's like, fuck no, I don't listen to this shit. All right. I did in the episodes I did when Randy was not here. I think I already mentioned that the reason the femistatists want women to have lots of sex, they just don't want it to have as with men, is because most of the femistatists are lesbians, and this is them trying to get laid with younger women. If I didn't say it before, I said it now. All right, let me get back to reading. Did that? All right. In the past, having a sketchy wife who cheated was frowned upon, and there were repercussions for her doing so. Now, cheating women are celebrated and encouraged by the culture. Even Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg is a worthless piece of shit. Even Whoopi Goldberg nonchalantly talked about how the time she cheated on her husband with little judgment or repercussions by society. In an interview, she stated, quote, "is screwing around 5 or 6 times while married and with different men for that matter something you can say casually? In the celebrity world, perhaps," unquote. But if you are Tiger Woods, you can be hit in the head with a golf club if you cheat, and society cheers on your wife for being empowered. You will also lose much of your income and assets in divorce court, and may even lose your kids, even if the wife cheats. And you are always cast as the bad guy. People wonder what you did to make your wife cheat. If a man cheats, on the other hand, the wife is a victim, and he's the louse who deserves punishment. And again, here we see it. Women are rocks. Women are not responsible for anything that happens to them. If the woman cheats, if the woman has sex with somebody she's not married to, it's because the man makes her do it. But when the man has sex with somebody that he's not married to, it's because he's a bad person. Again, we see femistatism. It is a subset of statism. They are not responsible for their own actions, and they are not accountable for their own actions. As I have talked about so many times before, women do not make things happen to them. They have no responsibility at all. They do whatever they want. They're never held accountable. And this is why women shouldn't be in the fucking workplace. Because why would you want a woman for a CEO when women cannot be femistatist, not woman? Why would you want a femistatist for a CEO when a femistatist, by definition, cannot be held accountable for anything she does? This is a really poor choice to put into the workplace. All right. What? You're shitting me. Oh my God. All right, this is going to be a 3-parter. It's going to be a 3-parter, Randy. There's no way in hell. All right, I'll get on it. Fuck. We are already at 48 minutes. I'm barely even started. All right, fine. Last paragraph on page 32. All right. Here we go. Jamie, this is reading from the book. Jamie seems to have a sense of learned helplessness in regards to a man's part in sex, marriage, or reproduction. He told me about a friend who, when he was 20 or so, was partying with a 17-year-old girl. The friend is unable to get a job now because the girl's parents pressed charges and he is on a sex offender registry. Now, first of all, let's go back to this. He was partying with a 17-year-old girl. It doesn't say, and maybe he did. I don't know. I wasn't there. It didn't say he fucked her. It says he was partying with her. And he is now on the sex offender registry. And let us briefly revisit the story I just told you about this girl I know who's 16 years old and goes to college parties. Are these guys really too stupid to know that they are risking becoming sex offenders by simply being in a room with her? You can become a sex offender. Again, this is the inequality and the oppression that women suffer. Being in a room with a woman can turn you into a sex offender. You don't have to touch her. You don't have to fuck her. You don't have to look at her. You just have to be in the room with her. What does that mean? He was partying with a 17-year-old girl. First of all, party is not a fucking verb, as I have said over and over and over. But then again, that's 12 years of public education and 4 years of college for you. All right. Let me go back to reading because we're running out of time. The friend is unable to get a job now because the girl's parents pressed charges and he is on a sex offender registry. When asked how he would feel if this happened to him, Jamie just shrugged and said, quote, "If the government passes strict laws, there's nothing I can do. I can just make a choice not to do it," unquote. I pointed out that he may not have a choice. For example, if he was in college and a girl said that he had sexually assaulted her, he might be found guilty by the school without a preponderance of evidence, even if he were innocent. Well, yes. Yes, I was looking at notes there. And there it is. Again, this is the inequality that we have reached now between women and men. Women are not responsible. They go to... So, again, what's the story here? He's partying with a 17-year-old, and he becomes a sex offender. And women are oppressed. I don't fucking get this. I do not... Well, I do. It's the state. Why is it? It's because femistatists need more women to be victims. They need more men to be kept down. They need more men to go to prison. I mean, again, being on the sex offender registry, that generated a shit. I've talked before about, what is it? The prison and justice is in quotes, the prison and justice industrial complex. Making him a sex offender generated money for the courts. It generated money for all of the legal people, the clerks. It's generating money for some kind of counselor. It's generating money. It's creating a job for some fucking parole person. Somebody has to track him. He probably has to go to therapy. It's limiting his future. It's making sure that in the future he can't get these jobs where he won't be able to get a job and compete with women, because God knows femistatists. Femistatists cannot handle competition. Women can. Women can deal with competition because they're women. Femistatists cannot deal with competition, so putting him down as a sex offender keeps him out of the certain workplaces where femistatists can have free reign. All of this is because of the state. The state comes along and makes this law that says, oh, you partied with a 17-year-old girl. You're a rapist. Well, for those of you young men out there listening to this who think that it can't happen to you, that's what everybody says. And again, you think it can't happen to you, but it's gonna happen to somebody. It's gonna fucking happen to somebody. And it might be you. So don't be partying with 16-year-old girls and leaving the party with them and taking them to parties in other towns. Whatever that's a fucking code phrase for. Maybe that's the new version of pansexual. I don't know. We're going to be back. Yeah, it's going to be 3 parts to this series. Just fucking deal with it.